That's what it is. All right, so can I start?
Mhm.
I opened the regular planning commission meeting Wednesday, February 18, 2026 in the City Hall Community Room. Roll call.
Detmer,
Present.
Kronberg, Meridian,
Here.
Moss,
Here.
Newman,
Here.
Paul,
Here.
Robson.
Present. Okay, I'm looking for approval of the January 21 minutes.
There's.
Everybody have any comments, questions, corrections? I'll take a second. Okay. Bob Conver make the motion, Carol Detmer seconded. All in favor? Aye. The motion passes. Unanimously. Now the January 29th special meeting. On the January 29th. Okay. Oh,
As was Reg Smith,
say it again.
as was Reg Smith. So the two of them will need to be listed under absent.
Call. Potential correction. He's there with Julian and David next time with no audience. And I think you asked us to add in the comments and they said they thought I think they were mainly go high, but you would have. As.
Is this from the special meeting?
Mhm.
Yeah. we said that,
Okay.
they need to be in the moment.
Do you feel like that needs to be in, Lisa? Can we? Or John?
Yes.
You can put them under others.
Oh, put their names in, but
Yeah.
what about their comments?
There really wasn't any
But they said they were good with everything until they heard me for the height.
Yeah, when you talk
Oh,
about
okay.
height,
That, yeah, that's already good.
These schools, but I thought should be.
Do you know what their first names were?
David. Julie. McIntosh with MC.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
CIN.
So, do I have a motion to approve with those corrections? Albert Moss makes the motion. Carolyn Detmer seconds. So all in favor of these minutes? Aye. Passes unanimous. All right, moving on. Public comment. Do you have any public that wants to make a comment? That's not on the agenda. Do you have anything, anybody online?
Mm-mm.
Okay, we will move on. To a public hearing. This is for case number 58-26 special condition use request. For former Leo's Lounge conversion to construct a 4-unit co-living space. In the lower level of the building, Mike Petrillo is here. To answer questions, so do you want to just give a quick summary and?
yeah,
You do a quick one and then I'll open the.
okay, I'll give you a quick summary. The owner, Mike is representing the owner of 434 East Mitchell Street, which is the former Leo's Lounge. They're looking for a special conditional use to construct a co-living unit with 4 bedrooms in the lower level. That's below grade per the new ordinance that was worked on by the planning commission and approved by city council relative to Article 9, Section 901, Appendix A, which allows for below grade uses in the central business district. A co-living unit is allowed as a special conditional use, and that's the purpose of the public hearing.
Okay. Then did you want to say anything?
Yeah, just to explain what it is, the intention of the space is, workforce housing. It's, 4 units, so 4 independent bedrooms with their own baths and closets. And then they share a common, kitchen, living, dining, laundry facility. It's in the lower level of the building. We're gonna get light into the common living space via a light well, in the south side of the building, what is the space between the back of the building and the alley. That particular building has, just under 15 feet, between the building and property line of the alley. So we've got room to, do a nice light well back there and get some light into that space down there. But yeah, primarily, the expectation is that the building owner, is going to be the one really using it or their own tenant in this case, running the restaurant. And I think their intention is really primarily to put their own employees down there. And give them a place, right there on property, for those who need it.
Okay. I will officially open the public hearing for case number 558-26, special conditional use request. There is no public. So I closed the public meeting.
We have public here.
I know. Did anybody want to make a comment? This is a public hearing, it's your opportunity. All right, so I must have started at 6:05 and I am ending it at 6:06. No,
Mm-mm.
My apologies.
you're right. We just completed the public hearing for item number 4A. And now we're going to old business number 5A, case number 58-26, special condition use request for Leo's Lounge, 434 Smith Street. So, I open it to discussion for the please.
I just had a couple questions, for Mike, obviously, well, not obviously, but really excited about this. Sounds like a great project. A couple questions I had, so how deep was that light well, like the?
It's,
Roughly,
I'm trying to think of it, trying to do math in my head. I'm gonna say it's 5 to 6 feet.
okay, and there was a rail around.
Yeah, there's a rail around it.
And was that the egress, like a fire egress too?
It will serve, well, let me think about that for a minute. No, it won't, because we have, the egress comes out, in this case, you're allowed to have one exit out of, story below or 2 stories above grade.
Okay,
You can have one exit if you have fire suppression. And so this building will be fully suppressed. And so when you come out of that, what is the unit by where the laundry area is shown. As soon as you enter that hallway, you're into what is considered the exit, which is a 1 hour rated space. And then you're enclosed in 1 hour rated space until you come out the door upstairs.
okay. Some of the, obviously, it's workforce housing and the units are kind of small. I just had one quick comment about, I was looking at the kitchen and wondering about cabinets and people and what they were gonna do. It seemed pretty limited, but maybe there's more to the plan. That you get a question.
Yeah, to be honest, we've laid that out for budget purposes as far as the kitchen goes. And that may change, and we get into that, they may decide to add some more storage into that.
The ingress and egress, these tenants would probably be coming in the elevator mostly, is that what you think?
Well, they'll come down the stairs, we're putting in a new stair in the back of that building.
Okay,
So when you come in that back hallway door off the alley,
okay,
there's a stair immediately going downstairs.
okay.
And that stair, will come down into a hallway, which you'll be able to go into this space, or you'll be able to go into the back door of the speaking.
And I just had a question then about the doors. I'm just kind of looking at the building and it looks like what almost looks like the bigger, more grand entrance center doors really goes to the upstairs. On Mitchell?
Yeah, the main entrance to the building is off of Mitchell.
Right,
That's really the restaurant entrance is off Mitchell, and then there's off of the same airlock that was in an entrance that goes downstairs into the speakeasy.
Okay,
The back entrance is the secondary entrance into all the spaces, so you can go into the back door of the restaurant, you go downstairs into the back door of the speakeasy, or you go downstairs and go into the residential areas.
so if you're coming into the restaurant, is it kind of what I'd say this door to the left, you can face the building, the smaller door?
Yes,
Yeah.
Would it be possible to put anything up on the, so everybody can see?
And I just wondered, with signage, how you. I obviously identify that there's, because the door in the center is more for residents, right?
yeah, that's the residential door.
Yeah,
And then the door to the left will be the single entrance into the assembly spaces.
okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
The balconies, so that, I think the answer is 15 feet.
Yeah.
So in those balconies, do semi trucks still go down that alley?
Yeah.
So they'll be much higher than.
Well,
They want to hang over a semi truck, that's.
Yeah, well, it's they're higher and also they're 10 feet off the alley. Because they only straight out, I think 5 feet.
Yeah, it's 5 feet.
And it's almost 15 feet to the alley. So there's quite a bit of room there. What that area is gonna be used for is, well, there'll be a light well back there. There'll be a barrier-free access ramp back there to come in that back door to get to the elevator. And there'll be a set of stairs, and there's a privacy fence, and there's another set of, just a stoop, that takes you into the back door of the kitchen. And
Can you
behind
get that
the
one
privacy
up
fence will be,
The back entrance.
will be some
Mhm.
dumpster totes.
Okay, can you point out, the one on the door on the far left is
Yeah.
goes into.
Yeah, so this is the entrance door we're talking about. So you come in this door, you're into a hallway, and you can go back, you can go straight into take a right, and you're into the back of the restaurant. Take a left, there's an elevator right there. As soon as you come into the door, you walk 10 feet, you go downstairs, and that takes you to the back of the speakeasy or to the restaurant or to the residential area. This door is into the back of the kitchen. This is just the back kitchen entrance. So there's a set of stairs, there's just a little stoop back behind here. To come in that kitchen, and then behind this privacy fence, there's room for some dumpster totes and that sort of thing, back in there. There's plenty of room to pull them out and get them up to where they need to be. And then this is that light well with the guardrail around it.
It does show in A1. Let's say there's an egress window into LIGO. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be. Trying to remember off the top of my head, I don't think it has to be. I think maybe we called that out, but I don't think we have to have it there.
In building.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a building code issue, and I don't think that's required.
All right, it does show on your plan. That it's a egress ladder out of light well.
Yeah,
Does show an egress window.
yeah, but I don't think we have to have that often. If we have to have it per building code, we will, but I don't believe that's required.
So the bedrooms. They have no windows.
Correct.
But, and they have one. You know. Egress,
Mhm.
but that's all they need?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep, and a lot of apartments that we do downtown have landlocked bedrooms. Because you're oftentimes you're sandwiched between
right.
buildings and they're shotgun sort of units. And so many of the bedrooms that we put in are even our just regular apartments. The bedrooms oftentimes don't have windows. Because there's only, in a typical building, there's 50 foot of width. We do two units, so you got 25 feet
Right,
and it goes 100 feet that way.
right.
And so it's most of the bedrooms in downtown don't have windows because they're landlocked between other buildings.
So this is just curiosity, has nothing to do with it, but do you do special kinds of lighting?
No, not really.
No?
Not really. No, it's typical lighting.
Mhm.
If we're on an upper floor, then yeah, you can do some things where you can do some light tubes and that sort of thing and bring them down in there and get some lighting.
Mhm.
But no, for the most part, you don't do any special lighting. It's typical lighting in those areas of bedrooms and bathrooms that don't have windows. And then, you just put as much light as you can into the common living spaces.
Mm.
But yeah, the building code you have to have a window in a bedroom. if you don't have fire suppression.
Right,
Um,
which includes sprinklers
that's, yes.
and
that's
then
it, yep.
the
yeah.
hour long.
Yes, you have to have fire suppression, then you gotta have certain rated exits and that sort of thing in order to do that.
Okay. So can you go to the front of it and then explain the doors on the front?
Yeah, so this is the existing entrance that's there now.
Mhm.
And so that doorway will continue to go in and go upstairs, and that'll be the access to the apartments upstairs. There's 4 apartments upstairs. And so that'll remain a residential entrance.
So that'll be closed off, so when you're in the restaurant, you don't see people coming and going out of that door?
No.
Okay,
No, and then when you're in here, yeah, there's a wall here, and so you come in here and there's an airlock. And you go straight through into the restaurant. Off of that area, kind of behind here, if you will, there's another door that goes into the speakeasy. An unmarked door. You won't go through.
so that goes to, that's how you access the stairs down.
Allegedly.
to-
Yes.
For those in the know.
Okay.
So there won't be an elevator if people will have to know that they have to go to the back if they want to use.
If you want to use the elevator. Well, now, actually, I mean, they can go through here and get to the elevator.
Okay,
So for instance, if you wanted to go downstairs, you can, when the restaurant's open, you can go through,
mhm,
okay? When the restaurant's not open, then you gotta come in the back to use the elevator.
okay.
So I guess what is the speakeasy again? Just exactly what's the use of that or what is it?
Well, it's a speakeasy. It's purely a cocktail lounge.
Um,
They are talking about having some small plate service down there out of the same kitchen upstairs. It won't have its own kitchen.
mhm.
As long as it's operated by the same owner, same restaurateur, then the kitchen upstairs will be used for small plate service downstairs. But you're right, it's really a cocktail lounge. Allegedly.
Is there,
Rich, go ahead.
is there someone already going to be the restaurateur?
Sitting behind you here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, the speakeasy is, and what we're doing is, which is kind of fun, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but they took the old Leo's, bar, which is a, Prohibition era bar, and we moved it downstairs. And so that will be sort of the theme of that bar downstairs will be sort of, designed and focused around that old bar. And then upstairs, when the restaurant's done, it'll get a new bar.
Wow,
Yeah, just a few things. Number one, regarding the egress window and that. Whether or not it's required by code, I would strongly encourage one to be put in. If there's a fire in the living area, the kitchen area, that's a long way to go. Up and around, to get out to that side there. So I'd strongly encourage that be done.
Okay.
According to Brennan here. Sound dampening between the apartments, or not apartments, the sleep spaces and speakeasy. I know you noted it's a firewall, but is there extra deadening?
Yeah, so the wall will be built with well, it'll be a thicker wall than what we would normally do between spaces. It's filled with cellulose insulation. It receives a metal RC channel to knock down vibrational noise, and then it gets then a layer, probably 2 layers of drywall on the outside of that. So it gets a lot in terms of the sound separation. It'll be we'll do more than just what the firewall requires just for the sound reason. And the same will be true for the ceilings. The ceilings will all be filled with cellulose. Same thing, they receive a metal channel and 5/8 drywall.
I've been in speakeasies and they are not speakeasies.
Yeah.
They are speak louds.
Yeah, and the same will be true between the restaurant and the second floor units. So that ceiling will all be drywalled with a metal channel with, filled with insulation and to knock the sound transfer down between the restaurant units upstairs.
Obviously, then these residents down below kind of know the layout and what's, what it is.
Yeah, they know.
So the other thing I have is, what type of egress security will there be in place for the residents to get in and out of the building? I'm assuming it's through the back door. For 24-hour access. And then,
You know, it's something that we haven't, other than keyed entries, we haven't got in it, because their unit, the back door will be keyed. And it'll be locked during off hours, open during business hours. And then their unit itself locks off. To get out of that hallway and get to their unit, there's another set of doors.
washer dryer.
To get in.
Okay.
So they have their own security from their space even into the hallway.
Okay.
And so there'll be some discussion about whether or not we want to do any sort of card access for the elevator in order to be able to go to the second floor. Because that elevator is going to be used by residents and it's going to be used by restaurant users.
Yeah.
And so if we decide we don't want restaurant users going to the second floor, even though it's not going to take them into a unit, it's going to dump them into a hallway. We might make the choice that either you got to punch in a code or have a pass card, key card in order to go up, in order to activate the elevator, go upstairs.
And again, I would encourage, if you're going to the extent of cards with the elevator, I would encourage to keep cards into the sleeping area, just so that guests don't accidentally find themselves. I mean, speakeasy guests or restaurateurs or whatever don't find themselves accessing the sleep areas.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Do you envision some kind of security camera system or setup inside or?
Yeah, restaurants, speakeasies, they pretty much, that's pretty standard.
Carol,
I see you don't have a roof plan, but in the elevations, I see some mechanical on the rooftop. And there is not an existing parapet on the back side of the building.
There's no parapet back there. There's one on the front, but there's not one on the back. Yeah, there'll be a couple of air handling units up there for the assembly spaces, one for the first floor, one for the lower level. There'll be some small condensers for the residential units. And then there'll be a makeup air unit for the restaurant, for the kitchen.
does that include the basement?
What's that?
The basement living space?
That will have, the smaller condenser will be for that space.
Okay.
The makeup air is really just to make up for the exhaust hood in the kitchen. It's an interconnected unit that when you turn on that hood, because it draws so much air. The makeup air unit is pulling in air, tempering it, and then pumping it into that space to make up for the air being exhausted.
Is the entire roof existing or pitched to the alley then? Right, okay.
Yeah, it all pitches to the back.
So this question's probably more for John and Lisa, but when you review the plans and that, there is makeup air for the sleeping areas and that. All of that is.
We don't get into the mechanical code, but we did a couple of weeks ago have a pre-construction meeting and Emmett County Building was here, and they're the ones doing the review on the mechanical and the building code requirements.
I just want to make sure they have fresh air supply back
Oh,
there
yeah.
too.
Any more discussion? We'll take a motion.
I have a question on the potential motion,
Okay,
just a clarification. We're really only talking about the lower level.
Yeah, you're just talking about the full living space.
And so. On item I think, maybe in this whole living space to add that, because I can see somebody years from now saying, wait a minute, we told them they couldn't do any short-term rentals, but I believe the upper floors. Would be able to do short-term rentals because they're downtown and not on the first floor. Is that true?
Lisa, is that true?
Mhm.
That's under the code. Yeah.
And so I would hate to have somebody misinterpret this later, just by putting, if short-term rentals are prohibited in a co-living space or the lower level or the below grade space or something like that, so that we don't get stuck in the bind.
Yeah, just add co-living space.
Yeah, however you want.
were you gonna do that?
Yeah.
So are they not allowed? Like out in the lower spaces?
Only on upper floors.
Okay. John, should we go through we should probably go through the standards.
Yeah, we can.
Confirm that they met with the.
Thank you.
So the first standard is a special land use type to be located on a site of adequate size and appropriate location to make it feasible for that particulars. To be compatible with surrounding uses. Well, it is where it is and it fits on the law. But that's.
That's comparable with commercial building environment downtown.
Right. Right, the next one is a special land use should be designed and located in order to protect, accommodate, and enhance natural or man-made features of the site such as topography, vegetation, soils, water features, historic structures, and scenic views. The co-living spaces have nothing to do with outside vegetation, whatnot. The special land use, so that's from that. The special land use shall be located on a site that accommodate on-site trash circulation and vehicle storage needs for the particular use. This is the downtown business district, which is exempt from all street parking, so. The special land use and its accessory uses and structures shall be located and arranged on the site in a manner allowing for adequate buffering and screening to protect adjacent use of properties. The co-living units will not require buffering. And the scale, bulk, elevation, exterior materials and color of the building in the special land use shall be designed to blend with the character of the surrounding land use. The co-living is part of the building and won't change exterior. The special land use shall not be located where due to use of particular equipment or import, storage, or production of certain materials or emission of waste products. And the co-living units are just residential and wouldn't emit hazardous waste. So, someone ready to make a motion?
So, I would be happy to make a motion to approve this with conditions. John, do you feel otherwise the conditions, as you stated, should remain?
These are directly out of the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I can make a motion to approve, with conditions. I'm moving to approve the special conditional use of 434 East Mitchell Street, parcel 52-19-05-100-008. Use the lower level below average grade for a co-living unit consisting of 4 bedrooms, subject to the following conditions. A is access to the residential living units shall be located on the side or rear of the principal building, unless a separate door in the front facade provides access to the lower level and upper stories only. B is construction shall comply with the most recently adopted Michigan building, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and fire codes for the city of Petoskey and Emmett County. C, no furniture is allowed outdoors unless it is incorporated into a screen patio or courtyard and is not visible to the general public. D is refuse collection shall not be located in any public alley or public space, and trash removal shall be the responsibility of the property owner of record. And E was short-term rentals are prohibited in the lower living spaces, I will add.
You wanna go, well, I guess it doesn't really matter that it's co-living.
Doesn't matter.
Second.
All right, Ted made the motion, Albert made the second. Roll call vote.
Paul.
Yep.
Moss,
Yes.
Newman,
If I'm involved in the federal historic preservation tax credit application for this project, I'm abstaining.
Robson,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Detmer,
Aye.
Kronberg,
Yes.
Meridian.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We're ready to move on to. New business. Case number 257-26, site plan review, business office 315. West Mitchell Street, impact building and renovations. We have Adam and Kelly, Vertica here to represent. And Rick is the architect, so we're gonna ask him to leave the room. While we deliberate this.
Yeah.
I can't have him undo his. Hey, John, you want to do a intro?
Yeah, the applicant has submitted a site plan and some elevations to reuse an existing building. That's located, has an address off of West Mitchell, but it's also located on Madison Street. Like the buildings on that block, they both, you have one set of buildings, they have frontage on both Mitchell and Madison. They're proposing to use the building for their construction and design office. The site plan can accommodate 4 on-street parking spaces. They share a access with the adjacent property to the east. So they share a common curb cut on both Mitchell and on Madison. They are proposing 2 small additions onto the side of the building. Reorganizing the front on the Madison for a ADA ramp, constructing a new concrete sidewalk, and adding 2 parking spaces in the front of the existing building, which used to be a house. We went through the site plan review criteria. There's a few things that we need to talk to the owner about or the applicant about relative to some of the determinations or some of the requirements on the plan. We'll go through some of the site standards. The buildings existing, as I mentioned, their proposed site plan, they're showing 2 parking spaces to be constructed in the rear of the lot, which is on Madison, across the street from these buildings. That front on Mitchell and Madison, the buildings on the other side of Madison on the south side are primarily single family, smaller houses with typical front yards. However, some of the properties on the north side of Madison, which this is one, some of them are using the rear or the front yard, or however we want to term it, for parking. There was no landscaping or plan that was submitted with the site plan. Most of the lot is pervious. However, there are some areas, as you can see in the picture on the front of the staff review, there was a front yard on the Madison side of the building. The way that the parking lot is being proposed now on the Mitchell side, there is some green space on the west side of the parking area adjacent to the building that's adjacent to this one. But there was no formal landscaping plan submitted. There was lighting fixtures that were noted on the elevation, but nothing in particular that specifically enough that we could determine that they're night dark sky compliant. They have to be shielded, pointing downward. There was no model that was incorporated with the drawings relative to how they're going to address the lighting. The parking, they're required to have 5. They're providing 4. The planning commission does have the ability to approve 1 on-street parking stall, which there are a number of on-street parking stalls already painted along Madison Street. We don't see it as a problem, but the planning commission needs to specifically approve that. There are sidewalks both along West Mitchell and Madison. Signage was not included in the package. Signage has to be reviewed by the zoning administrator separately. There was no trash storage identified, if any. This is an office that may not have outdoor storage, trash storage. It may just be a container inside, but we need to understand what that is, if there's going to be any. And under the utilities, we had the plan reviewed by the city engineer, and they're recommending to manage stormwater that there be some perforated pipe under the parking areas to kind of collect the stormwater to where then it gets to a point where it would overflow into the West Mitchell Street MDOT storm sewer when it's full. So they're looking for some on-site storm drainage as part of the project. Items to discuss: landscaping, if any. lighting, signage, trash storage, utilities, in terms of the stormwater that's being recommended by the city engineer. And the planning commission needs to, if you're going to approve the site plan, you need to consider providing or allowing them to use one on-street parking space to meet their 5 minimum. So that's kind of an overview of the site plan.
Okay, thank you. Did you wanna have anything to say?
Yeah, that's a lot to address it.
You don't need to say anything, if you want to clarify. it.
Cindy, my question was, normally we do have the architect for the project here. Could Rick come in the room and answer any questions? As an architect, and then leave.
Yeah, he just can't vote.
He clearly can't vote.
You can't, but you know, I would tend to be conservative and say not. Because he has a conflict of interest in this. I understand it,
Well, you're not-
but we have the owner here that should be able to answer some of those questions.
Yeah, but I would address any of those
Yeah,
questions.
he can, let the owner,
So why don't you go ahead and start?
you got questions, you can ask Adam.
Okay, well, let me
Yeah.
go through a few. So one of the questions that comes up is your landscaping question. There's a few small areas. Do you have any proposal to that regard, or how do you think we should handle that?
Well, you know what, this is something, I mean, this is an interesting case. Lisa's gonna bring the site plan up. You've got, if you take a look at the first page of the technical memo, I have a picture from Google Street View.
Mhm.
You can kind of see that right now on the Madison side, you've got some landscaping, some green space. There is a car parked in the front lawn, so people are currently using the area for parking. They're reorganizing the parking. Instead of parking like they are, they're gonna park, you know, up parallel to Madison.
Mhm.
But there are houses across the street, and I don't know if there's even enough room to try to put some screening around the parking lot, just to buffer it a little bit from the residential neighbors across the street. That's the one.
So typically in a motion, we might, if we gave a conditional approval, we might allow the zoning administrator to review and approve landscaping.
Yeah. And like I said, dimensionally, because they are
Not
really,
much, but
dimensionally, they're putting up a barrier-free ramp.
yeah,
And that's taking up space, so they're pushing the parking closer to Madison. It's just, you know, the people across the street in the single family are looking across, and there's gonna be parking right there.
right.
And I'm just trying to want to make sure the planning commission understands that. But I'm also aware that we're not talking about a large lot that we're working with to begin with.
Right, so we're not talking about a night use really,
No, that's
On
just
this property.
daytime hours.
right? So we don't have so much of a headlight.
Yeah.
Issue.
And I don't want what Cortez Flint has, of course, they bought the building after it was already developed.
Right.
But along their property line on Madison, they have like a concrete brick wall.
Right,
And I don't want that. That's too hard.
Yeah.
That's too hard. You know, so I just wanted to point out about the landscaping, but
yeah,
like I said, this is a small lot. You know, I don't know what could be done.
is the owner, do you have any comments? That's typically what we might do, have you work with the zoning administrator and come to some agreement, with some landscape.
We've had some light discussion about that already. We do intend to soften the whole facade with landscaping on the backside of the ramp, between the ramp and the building, which would be located here. So the ramp comes up in front of the building. We want to put some landscaping here and then utilize that green space at the end of the parking spot.
Mhm.
So there's very little space between the parking lot and the sidewalk. But I do feel like, you know, we want to introduce as much vegetation and some flowers and things like that. We want it to be really attractive, actually.
Would you do the same for the Mitchell Street, the two parking, you'd put the area that's not
Yes,
parking and,
This parking almost runs right into that building, but
Oh.
we do intend to have about a 4-foot area that really dresses up this entrance. I mean, that's our main presentation. So we'd like to have landscaping along entire front of that building.
John, you brought up lighting, and typically we might, if we don't have the plan, specify that it's dark sky compliant and that it would be. Have to be reviewed and approved by the zoning administrator.
Yeah, right now, the current ordinance says it's gotta be shielded and it's gotta point down. So, but we didn't, there was no model light fixture that was included with the plan, so that's why we specified it's gotta be dark sky compliant.
I do understand that and we intend to put in compliant lighting.
And you think, do you envision some type of signage eventually?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we'll have siding on the building, but wanted to put something near the parking spot.
Sign.
A sign, yeah.
Okay.
So you're talking about a monument?
An in-ground sign that can face the parking most likely, so, but. Still working with Rick on how to develop a sign that's appropriate and.
That also has to go to the zoning administrator.
Yes, right.
And the trash issue on your application, you said, you checked, or said something about portable. We had this question about.
Yeah, there was nothing on the plan that showed trash.
Right.
So
On the checkbox.
yeah, the question is, where's it gonna go?
Right.
Is it handled internally or externally?
So where's it gonna go?
I guess I'm unfamiliar with the requirement. We've got like a GFL rolling that we inherited with the building. So.
It has to be screened if it's outside,
Okay. I guess,
and that would be probably a form of landscaping.
okay.
So is that your
Or you gotta.
plan is to have it outside, or is there plan to have it inside?
Plan would be to have it outside as
Okay,
like a rolling thing, and we would probably screen it and put it off either the corner of this building, or corner of that building.
right.
I'm thinking that the trash pickup won't be off of Mitchell Street, so out of that, be out of Madison. And you had mentioned you got a wheeled, your building came with a wheeled. Trash receptacle,
Yes,
what's the dimensions on that?
96 gallons is the standard.
This standard.
GFL.
this standard GFL plastic, so
Okay.
4 feet tall and 30 by 30.
So you, from the envision putting that out by the curb, someone with a building would be that, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Assuming that would be recycled also. Recycle container or.
Yes.
Okay.
So if those live outside, those screen the same vegetation is
Trying to
starting.
save you some screening, keep them inside, so you need to put them out.
I don't think we'll have a lot of weekly trash, but. Yeah, so.
Okay, Rich?
I'm a little confused about, is the address or the front of the building actually on Mitchell?
Yes, that is the legal address.
Okay, is there a driveway that comes off of Mitchell?
Yes,
So
Right here.
people, when people
so
come.
that is the representation of the curb cut from the property line all the way to there.
Okay,
We intend to invite our customers to come to the Madison side. So that'll be our front entrance, and then this will be where we park and come in up these stairs to the back entrance.
and my other question was, will there be any construction equipment on the site?
Absolutely not.
Trailers, anything like that?
Nope. Well, and once construction is complete, they're wrong, so obviously in use.
Bob?
So. From the drawings, it looks like you're gonna be, are you changing roof lines at all, or are
A
you
little bit,
keeping the existing roof lines, any height?
no changes in height. We've added a dormer to one side and then continued this gable height is already existing. We're bringing that out 7'6" toward Mitchell, and the opposite side, we're doing the same thing, 6 feet out toward Madison. And then this dormer right here is a new item.
That's rear, and that ridge line would be the same as the ridge line going north-south.
Yes, and it's already like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that'd be an issue with the, since.
Is this what you would see if you're looking, standing at Mitchell Street looking at it?
Correct. So it's much like, I mean, it kind of it's representative of what's there currently. We're just expanding it and improving it.
This will be an improvement.
Very huge improvement.
I see you've already begun demolition and all of that. so-
Yes.
John, I have a question. You present a table or on page 2 zoning code information. Don't step back, it says full 20 feet, proposal 25 feet. Is that, we don't have to deal with that.
No,
Yeah. It's existing building.
yep.
Any more discussion?
I had one more question,
Okay,
unless I missed something, that side setback is supposed 0 feet, I don't understand that.
We're zone B3, and so that business district does not have a side setback.
Okay, so, but there is some distance between the property line?
There's approximately 2 feet from the property line and 6 feet from the adjacent building that's catty cornered.
Is Corey's right next to you or is it one more?
And the building that used to be like the tattoo shop.
They're down.
that shop.
There's down a couple, yeah.
And parking, there are parking spots on that street.
Can you bring up the Google Earth?
Sure.
There's actually quite a few.
Yeah.
I would almost prefer having a couple
Maybe.
used on site on the street and then,
but we're allowed to 5%.
yeah,
So.
that's it. I mean, under the current code.
Mhm.
But
Well, we just doing that.
Sorry, doesn't wanna.
you gotta be
I would
kidding.
encourage some, something to break out in the neighborhoods.
No, no.
Cause that's a problem
Mhm.
on the map. And then you have like the sidewalk in there.
Mhm.
So just something to break that up a little bit rather than. Coming out.
Yeah, we would prefer that as well.
Or
actually.
whatever it turns out to be.
I think that would benefit us as well as the neighbors.
As far as snow removal, like, there's kind of like connected lots between you and the lot to the east. Like, is it taken care of, like, where's it go?
So currently the snow's been being pushed around to the front of the building, up against the adjacent to the west, that brick area. And we have contracted with the site removal, the snow company that does that, to remove that snow by like front end loader and dump truck, so periodically, so.
Okay,
We hadn't done that yet since we've not been very active in the space, but that will be our intent, is to load the snow out.
Okay, this is the Madison Street now, if Lisa
I can go
goes
this
through
way.
the other way. You can see see the parking base through here?
Yeah,
There's a number of parking spaces that are already on the street that are already signed.
yeah.
Yeah, these are all.
You know, the way our ordinance is set up, we're only allowed to grant one. It would be nice if you could grant more than one, then that way that one parking space could be removed and you could have that more of a landscape area.
That would be nice, especially for that area.
Especially for that area, because you can see across the street, you've got single family homes across the street.
So really, I can't do anything with that.
No, I don't think so.
Have to go to-
Well, no, because I don't have my book with me. I believe it's 20%.
It is.
It's 20%.
Yeah, so,
So five.
oh, yeah, it would be one.
One.
Yes, I'm sorry, you're
Yes.
right.
So we have rewritten the parking stuff, if I remember right, going forward.
Yes,
So in the future, would you be open? When we can allow for more parking on the road, would you be willing to give up that one parking space in the front? Would you be open to that and get that landscape?
Well, that's a.
Yeah, it's an impossible question. I'm
what's
just,
the cost? Monthly.
Yeah.
are you gonna, that's gonna be paved?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I think at that point in time,
So,
it'd be too
couple-
disruptive.
Sorry.
I think you're asking when he left the city, he ripped it out.
Right, yeah.
I think that's gonna.
It just sets a tight area.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
probably the least nice, although you improving your building, there's a building across the street that's beautifully improved. That's helping.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So things we've discussed that don't prevent snow removal is like planter boxes. So we do want to have some screening along there, so if we had removable planter boxes that could live there all summer long.
Mhm.
And they could easily fit between our parking and the sidewalk. But then in the winter, they could be removed,
Mhm.
so we have ample snow removal without any interruption.
How busy is parking on that street, is it? 'Cause I know now, or I know in the summertime it would be an issue, but when you have to go to one side of parking. Cause that's not during the day, so.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
no, there's not, there, you know, there's nice parking bays already installed with the bump outs.
I go by.
Yeah, I mean, it's too bad we can't use them.
And it appears like that residential across the street, they mainly have driveways.
Right.
They have one.
They have driveways themselves, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
All right, I'll entertain a motion. Should
We need
we,
to-
so we need to go through the site? Go
no,
through
you
this
don't have to
then?
go through it. I mean, what we narrowed down is
Right,
trash area, and they need to show that on the plan, it's gotta be screened.
yeah,
They have to provide a landscaping and signage plan to Lisa for approval.
lighting.
And then they have to, the lighting, and then they have to handle they have to get with
signage.
Matt and Jason, the engineers, regarding the utilities, yeah, so.
Yeah, one,
Fill out the conditions and-
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 6 items. we need to take.
Right, I can make a try and vote for this.
Okay,
So it would be a motion to approve with conditions, move to approve the site plan for 350 North Mitchell Farms. That is parcel 52-19-06-127-055. To modify the existing building for use for building a business office, to include 2 small additions to the existing building and construction of 4 off-street parking spaces per the site plan dated 12/12/2025 with the following conditions. So,
you know, if you go to the observations, that kind of.
yeah, I kind of wrote some stuff down, John can help me. So condition 1 would be landscaping, to be reviewed and approved by the zoning administrator. Condition 2 would be that the lighting needs to be shielded and downlit. And then reviewed and approved by the zoning administrator.
You don't want to include dark sky compliance.
Include.
Do you want me to include that? Oh, I said no. It should be dark sky compliant, shielded and downlit, and reviewed and approved by the zoning administrator. For the for parking, the condition would be that we would allow one on-street site to be allowed to count for required parking. For signage, that would be reviewed and approved by the zoning administrator. Condition 5, trash containers would need to be screened, and that would be reviewed. The screening would be reviewed and approved by the zoning administrator.
You want to add recycling to that? So the, all
Trash
the.
containers and recycling containers need to be screened and reviewed and approved by the zoning administrator. Because condition 6 would be, John, how to word this correctly, the utility.
Stormwater to be approved by the city engineer.
Okay, stormwater to be approved by the city engineer. So that would be the 6 conditions.
Right, well, for me,
Everyone's supported.
Oh, you support it, okay. Still writing. All right, Ted made the motion, Carolyn supported. Any more discussion, roll call?
Paul,
Yeah.
Detmer,
Yes.
Kronberg.
Yeah.
Meridian,
Yes.
Moss. Robson,
Aye.
Smith.
Yes.
Good luck.
It's you, not me. Nothing happens if you don't want it.
Yeah, that's.
You'll get Rick back in.
Yeah,
Oh, Rick, it's. All right, so we're moving on to. The 2025 to 2026 Planning Commission Annual Report. It looked good to me. Does anybody have any comments, questions?
I just have some observations there. It looks like there's less activity in 25 compared to 24 as far as numbers eating. That because there's less going on. You know, there are less people trying to get things done, or are we slowing things down? I just wanted, when you look at the table, the table on page 4, where almost every column, there's less, some are significant and some are not, but just, what is your sense of why there have been less? Are you seeing less applicants and that type of thing, Lisa?
Sorry, are you talking about for,
he's talking about why.
oh, zoning permit? Yeah, I have no, so the average, over a 5-year period prior to 2024 was 45 zoning permits per year. So we're still higher than what we used to be. Sorry, I was trying to find it on here, so. Yeah, so, yes.
Then the ADU, is that all the way through the process? We have an ADU completely approved, or is the ADU 25?
Yeah, there was just one.
It's all the way through the process.
Yes.
So is it built? Or just-
They were converting an existing structure.
Oh, got it.
I guess the answer to the question that is, Lisa, do you feel staff wise, we're able to handle basically what's coming in a reasonable manner?
Some days are better than others. It ebbs and flows. So, I mean,
What is for so very?
That's the sub area plan basically for the Bear River Creek area. In the middle of the, Ted, can you can point out Ward 4? Ward 4 is kind of like between, right in the middle of the group.
4 is, which is 4?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
It's that ward where you have Emmett Street and you have Standish and all the redevelopment that's going on. It's to do because there's other parcels there that could be subject to redevelopment.
Right.
So it's kind of doing a more deeper dive in terms of doing.
More than just Emmett Street.
It's more than just Emmett, yeah.
I was more like the old factories and stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's,
The old what?
The factories that's on Sheridan and
Buckley.
It's standard too.
Yeah. I think that, out of all the city, that's the area that's gonna see the most redevelopment. So you just wanna get ahead of it a little bit.
Also Clarion, or.
Clarion, yeah. I think the big initiative that we pointed out, because this goes to city council, is two key priorities: zoning code and sign ordinance. Those are the two key priorities for 2026. That's it.
What do you like to say, John, if someone asks the question, when do you think the zoning ordinance will be
Well,
presentable to state council?
I'm thinking we have to get through this part of it with the districts.
Right.
Once we determine the number of zoning districts that we agree on, then the zoning committee will get back together to allocate the permitted uses and the uses by special conditional use. Once we get that done, we're at a point where the planning commission could take a look at one final draft. And then the recommendation would be, then we would send it to the city attorney.
So do we have more of a public process too, probably?
Yeah, we have to have public process, yeah, but
I mean, like an open house or something, or?
open house once we get the draft ready.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I'm thinking, depends on our discussion tonight. But I'm hoping that we can get something in front of council by June. Because we got every article done except for 2, 3, in the definition section. That's it.
Okay.
But those are hefty.
What's that?
Those are hefty.
Yeah,
All right, do we need to,
we need to,
approve
you
this?
need to approve it and recommend that it's forwarded to city council.
Okay, Don't take a motion to recommend this. Need the motion to forward this to city council. And Carolyn seconds. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimous. Now we move on to zoning ordinance update. Proposed discussion on zoning districts.
Yes. I think the easiest way to start the discussion would be to take a look at page 1 of the agenda memo. This kind of summarizes what I thought was the discussion that we had at our last meeting. Was that I looked at the existing districts and then we looked at proposed districts. On the existing districts, the first one is the R1. And we determined that was more of a suburban residential quality. And that should have its own designation. Then there was agreement that R2 and R3 are pretty similar. There's really not a lot of differentiation between lot sizes, how the neighborhoods are built. So that would be a residential neighborhood classification. And on the map, you can see that as the darker yellow. So those are the areas that used to be R2 and R3. The suburban, I'll get up and present, so I would point out here.
Yeah, but here's, the suburban's a little hard to see on the map, but
Yeah, the suburban areas
Up
are
here.
the lightest yellow up here,
yeah.
and
Almost.
then there's over here.
And then up on the,
And then,
by the
and then
lake.
up along the lake.
Curtis Park, basically.
Yeah, Curtis
And then
Park.
down here.
And then there's a little swatch over here
The-
with all the green space.
Yeah.
The R2 and R3 districts are primarily, have always been on the east side of the
Mhm.
community. So that's this darker yellow. The RM one, which is still multifamily, is this darker brown color, and you can see a couple of locations for that. And then the RM2, which was primarily everything on this side of town. Remember, we talked about reducing that from multiple family to go back to single family, but recognizing we do have some small apartment complexes that are in that neighborhood. So I came up with the term residential flex. And then the description says that, periodically there are some small, like 6-8 unit apartment buildings and duplexes that are in that neighborhood. But it still favors the single family versus the multiple family. And then,
Do you feel, so I'm trying to get my brain around, again, the new RM and the RF. How different are they? There was the old RM1 and 2.
RM1's mainly like apartment complexes, larger buildings. The RM2 was in this neighborhood over here, which were,
Okay.
like you've got over by Ingalls and Jackson, you've got that apartment building. Down on Jackson, towards the school, you've got like maybe a 12 or 14 unit. But they're not really, they're kind of fit in with the neighborhood, but they're not that large. And that's kind of the difference.
Registry of the senior.
Yeah. Then the PC said we need to have a business, neighborhood business district, which is, I call it BN, business neighborhood, which is the area in this color, which is the red. You have some along Mitchell, and then, some along the Emmett corridor in this area, and then quite a bit over by the, well, that's corridor, the business. Show me the.
It's the pink, it's this pink right here, this right here.
That right there, yeah, the pink, that's the old B1.
Yeah.
The
And red.
business downtown is the old CBD, which is the B2 district, which is this burnt red color. Okay, and then all the rest of the commercial districts are the corridors. Which you have some up in this area, along Cosme and Emmett, and then along Mitchell, and then down on Charlevoix. But, for example, some of the business corridors, the downtown group, the downtown business area already has a downtown overlay in the ordinance, which is the design guideline. So that has an overlay. You would have a mixed use overlay that would go down in these areas here, where you currently have mixed use developments. Some over here, and then to get around the area, we talked about view sheds. The 131 corridor coming into town along Spring Street would have a view shed overlay, which would manage the heights. And that's kind of what the B2,
B3.
B3. Yeah, that's kind of what that does now, the B3A does. So we'd have a view shed overlay to control the height in those areas. So we'd be able to collapse all of our business districts into 3, neighborhood, downtown, and corridor, and then use a couple of overlays to manage specific uses or dimensional requirements. We keep the office service, which is adjacent to the downtown. It's kind of that transition between the downtown and some of the adjacent residential districts, which are actually pretty nicely designed.
Which color is that again?
It's right here.
Oh,
It's kind of a,
Kind of that bluish color.
oh, there, I
Yeah.
can see it now.
Yeah.
Oh, there,
Right
yeah,
along here.
I highly recommend you change that color to something
Okay.
more different, cause at this level, you can't see the difference.
Maybe you can use more of those. A color that's.
Yeah.
Flash,
Yeah, the
yeah.
hash marks. So the OS that's there by the hospital,
Yeah.
what's, give us west side?
oops, sorry.
And then we have,
Yeah.
took the
Yeah,
2
this right here.
industrial areas, I1 and I2. Consolidated those into 1 industrial district. The city really doesn't have heavy industrial anymore. The industrial that we do have is along the Bear Creek corridor. Some of that's primarily like contractors and paint stores and, you know, there's granite shop and they're not heavy like producing emissions like they used to.
Is there any way we can change that to, so that residential and apartment buildings, higher density residential could be there instead of the industrial?
Yeah, you can, if that's consistent with the master plan.
I think it is.
Okay. Yeah, we can certainly change, yeah, you can do the changes to the map. What we did is we took the existing districts, showed how they would be proposed, and then used the same boundaries to show you what that
Right,
consolidation would look like,
John,
without
could you-
making any.
Could you also take an industrial district? You know, and just in terms of uses, state that it's an industrial district, but it also would allow for. More residential or multifamily
right.
apartments.
It's just that I think
Or which.
it's been the desire of the planning commission in all the years I've been on
Yeah.
it. That area changed to residential
Right.
along the river, take advantage of the beauty of that area.
Yeah, and I think based on the condition of the buildings and stuff, that.
Right.
it would be, that idea would be consistent both with the master plan and what's happening there organically anyway.
Right, like that section of, like from Sheridan on, if you go down Clarion toward the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
From Sheridan down to the Salvation Army. Those are all residential properties,
Yeah.
and the properties are so narrow anyway. That there's no way any kind of real industrial use
Right.
could.
Right, and this would be an opportunity to change the zoning map as part of the ordinance.
Right.
So that's where you kind of have to get into the weeds a little bit. This is just existing to propose
Right,
the same
okay.
boundaries without making any.
Map changes, right.
How different are the business neighborhood and the office service? They were both kind of business abutting.
Yeah, you know, I looked at that and I felt, I looked at it and then I went and drove the office area. And, you know, when you take a look at the office district that's adjacent to the downtown over here, you know, it's all low scale offices, CPAs, attorneys' offices. It kind of gives you that, almost that residential feel, even though it's a professional office.
Mhm.
I think upgrading it to a business and introducing more businesses in it would change that transition area. I think it would change the character of those streets.
Yeah,
So I was kind of reluctant to do that. And if you don't have many, a lot of them are right around here.
Right,
And then
They are
right here.
tastefully done, and I figured, why mess with it?
yeah.
What about over by the hospital? That,
That's something that we could take a look
that's
at.
what,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's
it is
B,
listed
yeah,
by the hospital.
The-
right here, that's B1.
yeah,
Currently.
right out here by the road, back
Kosky surgeons.
Yeah.
on the old hospital.
This,
And it makes sense, but I was doing the same thing.
Mhm.
Almost be a corner area, but maybe it's better to have, like you said, because of the neighborhood. It
Yeah.
Makes a better transition, okay,
Yeah.
I like that for the transition, okay.
Industrial, we just collapsed it down to one. We got rid of the P1, which was parking. The big thing that we included in here, to give you an impression, anything that is publicly or quasi-public, anything that's publicly owned or owned by a nonprofit, a church, a public school, private school, by the county, they're all public, quasi-public, and they're in green. So you can see when you look at the zoning map now, you can really see the extent of public property.
That's really helpful.
You know, you can get a better context for all the open, a lot of it's open space, I mean, a lot of the park system, but
Yeah.
it gives you, you know,
high school.
Yeah.
at high school, it just shows you how much public property uses that there are in the community.
What is that big green off, which you, well, Jenny, between Jen and Atkins, yeah, what quasi public space is that?
That's the nature preserve.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
And then we kept H1, which is the secondary hospital services up by, up on 31 over by Kilwins.
Sorry, it's not.
Yeah, right up here, that lighter color, that light blue, which is the outpatient facility.
Oh, okay.
And then the H2, which is the hospital campus, shows up in dark blue, like a purple blue.
You can see it on the edge there.
You can see it on the.
Sorry, it's not wanting to go
And
sideways.
then the last one is college, which is C, which is the property down here. So that's, when you take a look at existing to the proposed district, that's how it maps out. Without making any changes to any of the properties yet.
Yeah, conceptually, I really like this approach. I think it's a great way to reduce the number of kind of duplicate zoning districts and, you know, the way some of these duplicate zoning districts came about was because there were special circumstances in some small neighborhoods. But combining them, but then doing the overlay approach to address those things that have been done by making different zoning districts, but now could be done with an overlay, to me, makes a lot of sense.
And, yeah, we will eventually, for each of those, we'll eventually have something like this.
Yeah, the dimensional
Right,
requirements, yeah.
that, to me, that's as important, or more important, like, what can you do with this? Now that we've got it mapped out, because it makes sense.
Yeah.
What you can do in each area.
Yeah, before you dive into that, Al, I thought it would, if we have an agreement on the districts, then the zoning committee can start getting together and kind of putting the pieces together so we can come back with a draft.
So I like the categories you come up with. I suppose one question would be, you mentioned you didn't change any boundaries. You know, is there any sense that any boundaries should be changed in this?
Well, I think based on the conversation that Cynthia developed about, you know, you take a look at the community master plan and it identified redevelopment sites along the Bear River where you had some existing or former industrial properties. That would be an opportunity to start advancing that a little bit more formally by classifying those into probably like a flex district or something else.
So do you feel like we talked about there's some places in town where there's a lot of what was RM2, which really looks like what used to be called single family, you know, just homes.
Yeah.
Do you feel there would be any sense of changing some boundaries? Oh, back to RM residential neighborhood, or do you feel like they're similar, but just allow for some other things? I don't know.
I think we could take a more detailed look.
Oh, sorry.
we could take a more detailed look at the,
Why is it doing this?
uh,
Let me try this again. Sorry, it's like only got half a screen for some reason. I've already got it. There we go.
we could take a look at your. You know. We could take a deeper dive as a planning commission. And take a look at what's going on in some of these blocks may be. We may be able to convert our residential neighborhood,
Yeah.
but there are some that where you have existing multifamily. You may want to have that flexibility, okay? But this is what it looks like when you convert the RM into the neighborhood flex. It really changes the character of the community because it kind of, if you look at the current map now, it just shows all this multiple family
Right,
and it doesn't exist.
right.
And that's just a great place to get ownership.
Yes,
And because we need household owners.
yeah.
It's a place where people have their first home.
So I think what we could do procedurally is if we like the categories, then we start reconvening the committee to start putting the permitted and the special uses together and the dimensional requirements. And then the next step would be, once we got that flushed out, then we would take a look at the map and start making any proposed changes to the map relative to what's in the master plan and what the current conditions are. And then once we get that done, we're pretty much at a draft.
I like that approach because I wondered about that, just setting boundaries and then later the details of these districts, or like you said. Have the flesh out some of the details of these districts and then what does a boundary need to move, because now we know exactly what I'm talking about. Height, uses.
Yeah.
You know, that makes sense.
So I mean. If you like the approach, then I can start working on the, we already have the historic neighborhood overlays already done. The downtown overlays done in the current code. I can start working on the mixed use and on the view shed overlay.
And John, on the view shed overlay, where it says preventing buildings from breaking horizon line. That seems like it would be complicated if people want to do something in that area. I mean, what would be wrong with just using what's currently in B created? It really is kind of an overlay for a very small area of 25 feet, rather than if you're gonna do somebody wanting to put in an office building or whatever in that area. Now I have to define what is my view shed and what is the horizon. Would it be just as easy to keep it at the current 25 feet instead of make it complex for the.
Well, we can check. I think one of the things I was looking at is there could be some properties that may not impact view shed that we're suppressing the height on.
Right, yeah, and I do think the corner across from Gordon Foods for the old hotel, that would be the area that you probably aren't impeding view shed very much.
Well, where the old hotel was, where it burnt down.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that would
That's
be,
that road.
that's a perfect location for maybe a 3-story, because it would fit in with the roof lines that are already there. I think, we haven't toyed with it yet, but I'm thinking that spatially with GIS, we can create the view shed corridors by pinning different elevations, like the historic downtown, the St. Francis steeple, the boundary of the bay, and then based on elevations, have the GIS basically determine what areas are really critical to protect.
So John, if you take this site where the hotel burned down on the highway up there, that used to be 2 stories, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, are you saying on one hand you could go a little higher because it doesn't block the view of the bay, right?
Right.
But on the other hand, I'm just thinking, the people who live behind it, who look down towards the town and everything. They
Well,
would have a different,
Well, they're gonna have,
Opinion.
yeah, they're gonna have a different opinion, yeah.
Especially with the hotel gone.
Yeah.
They already do have a different.
But the other part of that is you also have to balance the private property rights of the people that own the property. By saying, well, you know, you have to balance both
Well,
interests, you know.
but
Still a business in Porter.
That's, I think that would be.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be, that's a place more that cottage court or those small, little senior
Yeah.
housing kinds of developments that you've shown us that were one story, they're right near the villa, and they're right near some other, you know, duplex, not duplex, but, condos that are, you know, they're up there by the theater. I mean, that type of housing in there, you keep under 25 feet and rebuilding housing for ownership again. You know,
So we have to get into the uses, the permitted, the special, and then the dimensional requirement.
Right.
Is that is the business court.
So we're gonna have to start having the. I know Cynthia's not gonna like this. We're gonna have to start having the zoning committee meetings again.
Maybe by the time we schedule it, I'll have more energy.
So I'll get working on it, and I'll get working on the materials for the first zoning committee, which will probably be in a couple of weeks. Okay, I need some time I wanted to get your consensus.
Take your time.
Well, no, I think city council is some on city council are getting a little bit interested in terms of getting some feedback from the planning commission on it.
Hopefully Charlie's talking it up for us.
I'm hoping. So that, if that's if you guys are comfortable with that, then that's how I'll start putting it together.
Yeah, I think it's a great.
You want a motion?
No, we don't,
Yep, I'm very comfortable with what you do.
okay.
Good start. All right, commissioner comments.
So I had one, Cynthia, and just kind of for John and Lisa, so we did a site plan tonight and we had this, I guess it's on, the one that was the house. We have a sheet of check boxes. And I was just looking at a few things and a few things jumped out at me. One was the landscaping, the guy didn't fill anything in,
Right.
like whether he was gonna do or not, and then I was always wondering about signage, and there's nothing here about signage. There's a thing about lighting fixtures. That there have to be a graphic illustration of lighting fixtures that are freestanding or attached to the building. He checked that, he provided that. But it wasn't to the extent we wanted. And I've been somewhat aware that in the zoning ordinance, we've got the standards for approval. For this site. But we also have graphic illustration, what must be there. And it says what must be there in this section is freestanding and directional signs must be there, landscaping and fencing must be there, lighting fixtures. Shall be shown and labeled as the type and height of fixture. So we have these things that really in our current ordinance, they say they must be there. They're not so much translated over to this. So I've always had this question. Sometimes we come and they typically don't have landscaping, they don't have lighting, and they don't have signs. And this thing kind of says they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So I just feel like now I'm trying to think what the new ordinance we're writing.
Oh, the new ordinance has that 2-page checklist.
Right.
Yeah, that's,
So just until we get to that point or whatever that one, but as we deal with this one, should we be a little more robust in what we're requiring to bring it here, Lisa, or?
You can certainly amend the
Maybe this-
application.
Maybe this would need to, like, this doesn't even have signage and.
yeah, we can take a look at the checklist versus the ordinance and make sure
Right.
they jive together.
And if they don't check the boxes, well, there's a whole thing for staff confirmation we can
Yeah.
do or not do that, so I don't know. How, I mean, it's this balance between wanting to let some stuff go forward and allow some development of plans, but also.
Rich and Bob.
Right. But also just trying to, kind of have people show us what they're gonna do, so I
I would agree.
So I just want to point that out, we could look at that.
Other question, the cottage in moving forward,
I haven't heard anything more from them. So it's all interior demolition. So.
Where is that moving to?
well, we don't know.
It's the old La Dolce Vita, the corner across from the hospital. On Mitchell Street.
Oh, it was a hair salon?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
I sense there was a little activity there.
Yeah.
It's-
No, I don't know.
I saw looking down at the block.
What's that?
But it's hard enough
Terrible place to
downtown.
be.
Like,
I know, yeah, especially for a pizza place.
all right, updates?
Yeah, one of the things that we have to get in front of council at some point is the lighting ordinance. Ted, I'm looking at you, to give me a hand putting together a PowerPoint. So, you know, basically explaining what we got out, what's out in the community now in the way of lighting,
Oh,
you
in
know?
terms of. You're not talking sign lighting.
No, we're talking like canopy
Street
lighting and street lighting and.
Okay, so we've got some suggested changes in our draft. Is that what you're,
Yeah, we gotta have I mean, Carolyn,
Yeah,
Uh,
I think just for reference, like looking out here, these streetlights, the globes, like what is that?
right,
yeah,
So they have an understanding of like
so we'd have to have some,
where.
to do a good presentation, we'd have to have some pictures for sure.
and I don't wanna do them in the winter time because you get too much glare off the snow. I mean, it'll give you a false reading. That was my concern.
To some extent, depends what you're trying to, right, if you're trying to show a downlit sign and there's snow underneath, it's obviously gonna appear much brighter
Yeah.
than in the summer.
Well, you know, we have like canopy in the proposed code, we have canopy lighting, which we'd be using for gas stations.
Right,
Right,
So we need to have a picture to show the council, this is what we have for current canopy
Yeah.
lighting, and this is what the lumens are. And this is what the proposed ordinance could say, so they could see if we're going up or down.
right,
You know, nobody on council is a technical lighting expert,
right,
and they're not gonna really understand all of the
right,
technicalities in the code. So we have to kind of show them visually
yeah,
what we currently have and what's being proposed.
so,
So
yeah.
what do we need to do that?
Well, I think we need some pictures. It is for sure, depending on how you set your exposure, just what your camera does. I'm sure you've had this experience where you take a picture on some modern cell phone cameras and it appears brighter at night than it really is. You know, it's not the same.
Right,
So you've got that issue a little bit. But I think if you do comparative, one of the gas stations, shoot, which one? One right up from the hospital, on the hospital side up the hill.
Arco,
The one that's open 24 hours, that one's not as bright, and then the other one, so maybe you could, so even though the
right.
the absolute might not be, the relative would be.
do we,
there.
do we need to have a light meter to actually take the reading?
It'd be good to do some readings too,
Okay,
yeah.
Well, the other factor is, you know, the downlight might be similar,
Yeah,
but if the particular fixture has
Yeah.
a drop in the lens up there in the
Yeah.
canopy and throws light sideways, you know, that could be unpleasant lighting because it's not fully shielded.
I think, you know, you could mix some pictures, but I think you might do better with some data. For instance, like the canopy, suggestion was, I think, 20-foot candles,
something.
and, I measured close to 60. I
Yeah,
mean, so I think it'd be a combination of numbers and. Also, it's really good with, I think with the foot candles, what hits you is like, what is this room right here? What is this? You know, City Hall, you're sitting here at this right now. Like, could you pump gas? Or is this too bright or too, you know, those kind of things would be helpful. At your kitchen table, what do you? It's a lot less than you think, you know, so. So I think that's how I try and make the presentation with a little bit of math and science and a little bit of pictures.
okay,
Or like locations and they could go at night, like this gas station, this is this lumens, go to this one and this lumens.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
So do we have access to a?
Photometer.
Photometer?
Um,
Can we rent one?
I'll have to take a look. Well, I think
Do
we
we
need,
have-
I think we need to get some readings.
do we have a simple photometer in the city?
not that I'm aware of.
They're not that expensive, but
I know, but what's the one that you,
A
that
nit
we
light.
wanted
Nit.
to sign it?
Oh.
That one was expensive.
that, yeah.
And
That's a
wouldn't
nit light.
wouldn't that be good for measuring? City lights too, or street lights,
So
canopy lights?
you could, but it's. Yes and no,
So a photometer,
so.
the
you-
meter,
you-
the cheaper one works fine
So
with what you
that,
need to measure.
whatever that meter, I'm forgetting the name of it, like if you had a canopy light, you could hit the ground. under it,
You're talking about a knit gun.
knit gun,
Yeah,
and I could measure that, but if I measure at a typical height, like if you're at a gas station, you know, like a horizontal,
you
so,
can't measure that.
so that doesn't do that well. Plus the tables and foot candles anyway, all the stuff is for the outdoor lighting
Mhm.
requirements, so you might as well use, foot candles, and we should have one, we have to have one of those meters anyway, that's not. I think they're like $60 or something,
Can you check on that?
you know,
Cause that, I think we're gonna need to show existing examples.
right,
This is what
right.
This is what the foot candles are for like this use.
You think people are gonna be concerned? I just. They need a more of a comfort level, because what we're doing is compliant with
Dark sky.
recommendations.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's gotta be educational. I
Right.
mean, the ordinance is technical
right,
and we gotta make it educational so the council understands what
Yeah.
we're trying to achieve.
it's funny, what I found is when you go around looking for that one specific element, you're used to things, like, you're just used to seeing certain things. When you start thinking about it, would it need to be that bright to count?
Well, I mean,
You know, you
Yeah.
like it starts to strike you about,
Lisa sent the ordinance over to the electrical department
Mhm.
for them to take a look at it and they said, we're fine
yeah,
with the foot candles in there.
Yeah.
They said, we're good.
yeah,
So, but it's. Yeah, I gotta get a presentation to them, you know, I just don't wanna give them the ordinance. Saying we had a public hearing on it, here you go, I wanna give them a presentation.
Right.
Joe had a Ward 3 meeting. On the 14th.
What's that?
Joe.
Knocktrub.
Knocktrub. He had a Ward 3 meeting on Valentine's Day.
what was that about?
He just, to introduce himself to the
Oh.
world because he missed
Oh,
so many. And it was interesting because I'm all for this dark sky and, you know, in fact, the only reason I voted no is I didn't think it went far enough. And there was a person there saying, I don't know if I like this dark sky because I'm afraid to walk in it. So you're gonna have to, that this is light enough to do your, you know,
Right.
if you're walking your neighborhood, it is gonna be light enough to be safe. I think that you're gonna have to show that side of it too.
Well,
I didn't
understand that, you know, downlighting and shielded is just fine.
Right.
yeah,
Well, I think part of the concern is the move towards LED lights. They are very focused. There's just not the big
Right.
right,
spread of the old
what you,
mercury vapor. light.
but what you clearly got going on, I think it's two things, just like the sign discussion, if you get. Thoughtful discussions of that, they'll talk about, people cannibalizing each other with signs, sign competition. Well, I'll go bigger so you can be see my sign. And then the next guy goes bigger and pretty soon you see the picture of a street where you can't see any of the signs because they're all blocking each other. And that's just kind of unchecked. No one trying to do anything bad, but everyone trying to, and light competitions are generally are definitely occurring out there, I think. Not so much purposely, one is just that lighting got so less expensive with LEDs, they put out way more light. The bulbs last forever and they can be really bright with low energy, so that opened up this whole universes. You'll see ads on the TV about security lights, how bright they are, you can see it 10 blocks away, it's great, it's like, no, it's not. If you live next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I gotta give that, I may pick your brain when I get
Yeah.
into it.
Think about that.
Can I just briefly go back to commissioner comments for just a second?
Sure.
You know, I've been concerned, and a bunch of us, I guess, have been concerned about, to me, the alarming rate at which our single family houses are being converted to summer only vacation type houses. And I was looking through some stuff I had, and I found this article from a year or two ago that was in the Northern Express about deed restrictions, you know, that you could put a deed restriction before you sold your home, that it could only be used permanently, you know, for year-round housing. And so the Housing North, Yarrow Brown, the executive director, I don't know if she's still the executive director, but they're promoting this program, and they've got something going with Charlevoix where they've been working with Charlevoix to promote this idea. And I don't know how this exactly relates to us, the planning commission, other than our desire to see houses remain available to families and people that live here year round. And whether or not, you know, we could adopt the idea of like a public awareness and education effort to try to get out and just plant the seed to community members and residential owners that before they sell their house, they might want to explore the possibility of a deed restriction to try to maintain it as a single family year-round occupying house. Now, I don't know what that does relative to, you know, what does that affect your market value? To have a
Well,
deed
hell yes, it
restriction?
would. Yeah, but you're gonna tell somebody, unless you're gonna live here 12 months, you can't buy this house.
But
You can't buy a house for three, just.
But again, a person decides to do it on their own, but.
Right.
But,
right,
but Rich, yeah, the point is that
Yeah, you cut out a whole
a
market,
bunch of buyers
Yeah.
that could be there. I
all the
mean, it would
people who
still
want to
be
pay way too much for their
residential.
house.
right?
Yeah, you just got all the.
So probably that would be a hard sell, but it's an interesting idea that I kind of came across.
I don't get me wrong, I don't like to see it, but.
Right, yeah, what can you do about it? Right, so that's what I've been thinking about. Is there anything?
There still might be,
beyond that?
there might be some people who do that. though.
Oh, yeah, there would be. I could see some.
For sure. People who have money who.
Right, but if you made a deed restriction, couldn't the new owner?
Well, the new owners
Change
gotta, no, they gotta agree with. It's a deed restriction.
Runs with the land.
Runs with the land.
So it has to be your primary residence or something? I mean, what would we?
So how do they say it here?
Well, I would say either primary residence or rental property, it's got somebody living in it year round. I think what probably Housing North was getting at was the conversion of all these houses into short-term rentals.
Right,
Right,
Who cares if it's owner occupied or renter occupied, as long as somebody's living there?
Mhm.
I think that's the key.
I mean, and we've got 70 years that I know of. I have aunts and uncles and stuff that as soon as they turn 65, they spent 6 months, my brother spent 6 months a year
Right.
in Florida. He owns his property, he owns his house. You know, I don't think he would have a deed restricted, but he could, but I mean, that's different than the person that has. Essentially, they own their vacation rental. You know, they come up and only spend 3 months a year or in a few weeks a year.
So Rick, this is something a homeowner would do on their own with this restriction on their deed before they sell their house.
right, that's how I understand it.
Right.
Yes.
and so once it's restricted, you can never change it going forward?
No, maybe the next owner could change it when they sell.
They sell, but not the current owner that's buying it.
Ah,
I see.
And just,
Is there
for
more
thought.
information or an article you could forward to us on that?
well, this is just a little blurb, what I say was, talking about housing. It was an article about housing and how the, Housing North is promoting ADUs and year-round housing. And so there were a couple lines in here about that. So I don't know, maybe we would want to get Yarl Brown to,
She left. She's not the executive
Oh,
director.
okay,
But we could contact Housing North and ask them about it.
yeah.
I don't know where our rep, we used to have a rep from Housing North here. Do you know who, we don't know, I don't know. It used to be Lindsay. Was the gal that's doing the church.
I was gonna say,
Well,
it was the most recent
I
one.
think
I
she's
did.
still there. I think that's still her job.
That's still her job.
I think so.
Okay, well, she's the Housing
Okay.
North rep for
Yeah,
Emmett County.
that's right. I forgot that.
That we could ask her.
So maybe there's some more we can read about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, it is 7:38 and this meeting is adjourned.